A warm welcome back to GlobeTrotting. Be sure to subscribe if you are new to the channel. Despite being one of the most arguably under-pressure aircraft types in the last decade, the 737 MAX from Boeing continues to secure substantial order after substantial order. But why? What on earth led to this aircraft that many vowed to not operate again and passengers to never fly again, putting it back in the limelight? And was it always going to pan out this way? Upon launch, the 737 MAX family certainly solidified itself as one of the industry's most efficient and capable single-aisle planes available. While there were many discrepancies concerning that the MAX represented and the stretches Boeing took to try and limit costs, overall demand for this plane can't be disputed. The type came with several variants and cutting-edge fuel efficiency through its engines, and thanks to this, despite some complications in actually getting the engines on the dated fuselage, they do come with their enhancements. Overall, this significant improvement in efficiency results your operating costs, reduced carbon emissions, and further benefits that help position the MAX as a true competitor to families such as the A320neo. The MAX's cabin design, meanwhile, incorporates larger windows, improved lighting, quieter engines, and more optional improvements from a numbers standpoint. However, the enhancements, such as the ones I've touched on, certainly make the plane an attractive option for customers and airlines alike because of the improvements generation over generation. But what's happened to the MAX to really have people questioning why would an airline commit to it? Well, over the past decade, it's faced a lot of challenges. You'd argue unlike any other, which has caused a great deal of disturbance in our industry and led to question marks over the adoption of this type. In October 2018 and March 2019, two fatal incidents involving Lion Air and Ethiopian Airlines resulted in 346 people losing their lives, leading to a global grounding of the aircraft in March 2019 and a great fallout. Investigations revealed that the Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System, or better known as MCAS, contributed to both accidents and was spurred on by Boeing's negligence on multiple fronts. After more than a year on the ground, the Federal Aviation Administration finally lifted the grounding order towards the end of 2020, and Boeing implemented software updates and new pilot training enhancements, which took time and were occurring amid a major global pandemic. Despite these measures, the MAX faced scrutiny for years to come, and in January 2024, an Alaska Airlines aircraft experienced a mid-air cabin blowout, prompting temporary groundings of certain MAX jets that were affected. All this then uncovered that the MAX and Boeing operation was far from stable, leaving many feeling that the aircraft was tainted and should be abandoned. However, the plane is still being produced, albeit at a much smaller rate, and is also being ordered. Why is that? Despite turbulent times, several factors have contributed to the 737 MAX's continued success and ability to rebound and welcome in new orders. From a capacity standpoint, the MAX stacks up as an efficient and typically reliable single-aisle plane that should more often than not be a safe option for airlines seeking to elevate, grow, and or even renew their fleet. Driven by fuel efficiency and lower maintenance costs, the 737 MAX is an appealing choice for airlines around the world, with no market necessarily being ruled out of potentially requiring the type's capabilities. Additionally, the MAX offers operational commonality with earlier 737 models. It means that for an airline looking to integrate this plane into their fleet if they've operated the NG, well, it's a much easier task, considered to have also great rewards for the reasons of commonality. Following the grounding of the 737 MAX, many in the industry speculated that Boeing might need to develop an entirely new aircraft to rebuild trust and regain confidence in the market. Critics argued that because the 737 platform originated in the 1960s, it had certainly reached its design limitations. Further, the MAX's issues really did relate from pushing the airframe too far and arguably way too quickly. However, Boeing disputed this and focused rather on enhancing and recertifying the MAX rather than pursuing an entirely new plane, knowing that the losses would be even more substantial in a period of great uncertainty. The MAX's birth is something that was also rushed in the first place. You may recall that Boeing felt it was falling behind competitor Airbus, who were proceeding at a rapid rate with their A320neo, and Boeing just knew they had to get something to market. They needed that alternative soon, or they would lose more ground. That's why there's so much discussion nowadays about that new commercial airliner and the fact that Airbus, because of Boeing's complexities, are going to be getting a head start, and all of a sudden it's going to be deja vu vu again. Even away from the rapid launch of the MAX, the backlog has remained substantial, even with some airlines cancelling aircraft orders during the program's low point. The controversy surrounding the MAX presented frustrations, as I've been talking about, but also equal opportunities for airlines that knew they needed a plane such as this Boeing single aisle. For a prolonged period, airlines were not committing to the 737 MAX. It was a cursed aircraft after all. Who was going to be the first to actually order the plane publicly? That was the question on so many lips. Because A, there would be a fear of backlash, and B, there were so many unknowns of the program's state. Airlines could at times leverage the fear of public backlash to their name, actually to their advantage, and use the complications of the program to secure better deals. While of course not being publicly stated, it was more than evident. This, in a manner, created a win-win scenario for the plane maker and the customer. Every order already comes with substantial discounts. No airline is ever paying the true list price value that is just stipulated as a figure. The discount won't be publicly revealed. However, in one of Boeing's toughest times, it was able to leverage the interest that didn't want to be facilitated into something firm with some really competitive pricing and some potentially attractive delivery slots, while also maybe giving airlines flexibility that they may not have gotten to get the airline in question to show support for the program and get the plane that they desired, even during a tough time. It felt during this period it was just who was going to move forward with that first order. Some airlines leveraged this situation to secure so much, and during a period where the MAX was in the headlines for all the wrong reasons, there were valid questions about what would happen when global air travel demand recovered. Flexibility was determined to be a crucial factor for many airlines to succeed in the long term. Boeing's eagerness to resume deliveries allowed airlines to tailor schedules with their recovery plans and operational needs. In essence, these airlines could leverage the misfortune and get something back that they needed, even at the risk of public backlash, which, let's be honest, only happened for a week before everyone forgot. Despite its challenges, the 737 MAX has definitely seen a resurgence in orders, and while it hasn't necessarily been backed up with, say, smooth increased production rates or a Boeing operation that is perfect, the backlog is still very extensive, and that's why Boeing is so adamant to increase production once again. They have a lot of planes to get out, and there are so many more airlines that want to purchase this aircraft. At the end of 2024, Boeing was able to restart production of the MAX after a lengthy strike. While production rates remain low, the plane maker is striving to recover sooner rather than later, and it's why I state that 2025 is going to be such a big year for this manufacturer. While past controversies have raised questions about the future, the past will never be forgotten, but Boeing has to remain committed to developing its aircraft and especially focusing on being a standout success for the long term. It can't afford to have more complications. At some point, the MAX will need replacing, and this will likely bring in a whole new era and move away from the dated 737 fuselage that we've known, or at least find ways to elevate this. I'd love to hear your take down below in the comments how you saw the entire 737 MAX crisis panning out. Your thoughts on maybe those initial orders. Do you feel that airlines were placing these to secure better deals? I'd love to hear your take. Thanks a bunch for watching. Take care, be safe. I will indeed see you in a couple of days for your latest industry news.
And we'll fly.